This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Time to talk with James Teague, former Arkansas pitcher and a member of the Teague Law Firm. He's been around for nearly 30 years. Teague Law Firm's best of the best in Northwest Arkansas 2019 and 2021. They'll help with all family law matters, including guardianships, adoption, and child support, traffic offenses, DWIs, and more. Criminal law. If you got an estate need, James Teague Law Firm can fill your need there, too. They're a full-service law firm. You talk to actual lawyers. You get their cell phone number, 479-877-1688 for James and the Teague Law Firm. Also online at teague-law.com. Good afternoon, James. How you doing today?
Hey, Phil. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I'm at Dudy Noble Field, the new Dudy Noble Field. You know what it's like to pitch at the old Dudy Noble Field, which was a heck of a lot different than the palace that they built. I was there for one series. I've never seen anything like the atmosphere at the old Dudy Noble Field. And as much as they try to replicate it here, it's not quite the same. What do you remember about pitching at the old Dude?
Well, I remember we showed up there to practice, and everyone's out, it's basically like forts and teepees and huts they built with plywood and whatnot, and they got grills attached. I'll never forget, I'm out there, and Jake Reindl, he's a freshman, he's out there in the right field, and some guy from one of the fans just throws him a sausage link and it's like, "Here, buddy, try it out." Well, Jake Reindl just proceeds to eat it. He becomes best friends with this guy in the outfield, and Trey Killian turns around to him and said, "Reindl, you better enjoy that sausage because it's the only time you're getting on the field all weekend." Really just kind of ripped into him. They're kind of like, "Hey, we're trying to get ready for a game, and you're over here, hanging out with fans, eating their barbecue." But, it was an awesome atmosphere. It really was. I haven't been to the new stadium, but, it's going to be tough to replicate the old vibe they had over there.
Well, they're doing their best. There's a moment that I remember from the 16 season. We finished the season. It was not a memorable year, obviously, and those 3 games did not go well. Mississippi State swept. But I remember seeing a fly ball to right field. I don't remember who was pitching, but Arkansas was in the field. And I remember seeing, because they had those grills out there too, there was a giant fireball that shot up from one of those grills with a fly ball to right field. And I almost dropped an F-bomb on the air. I was so frightened by it. I've never seen that anywhere else before or since.
Yeah, I haven't either yet. And they probably wouldn't have liked that F-bomb on the air, but, there's plenty of them dropped on the field that you see people, covering their face with their glove, their hat, or whatever not. So it wouldn't be the first one. Yeah,
and out there in the left field lounge, they do too. All right, so I got to ask your reaction from when you read or hear about the gambling scandal involving Alabama baseball and now Brad Bohannon, who I think might have done the dumbest thing I've ever heard in baseball history.
Yeah, well, you can make fun of the hog call. You're that kind of guy. Well, I'm not surprised you're also betting against your own team. So maybe that's karma for the stunt he pulled when we were at home.
Betting against James, you got to have trust, right, with your coaches and your players. Man, that just would, you'd be thinking about the last couple years and what's going on, because how long has this been going on? That was just shocking to me.
Well, yeah, if I'm a guy that's playing a lot, I'm starting to wonder, well, am I being played a lot because he thinks I'm terrible trying to lose, and have those thoughts going through your head. So, yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions there. That's obviously a terrible deal, kind of a career ender for him. You got to think, what is going through your mind? How could that possibly be worth it? But, I guess some people get money hungry, make bad decisions, part of life.
I know you can help with a lot of criminal law matters, James. I think Brad Bohannon may need a criminal law lawyer at some point, because I think the feds are going to get involved in this. How would that phone call go if he called you?
I'd say, you know what, I'd love to help you, but we've got irreconcilable differences. That stunt you pulled at home, I can't help you. I don't care what you're paying. That's how it go.
The tagline goes, if we can't help you, we'll talk baseball. Would you end up talking baseball with Brad Bohannon?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. So maybe we talk about the series, and I'd send him on his way.
I'm not sure how much baseball he's going to be talking very much, to be quite honest. All right, let's move into this series here against Mississippi State. Hunter Holland is not starting today. there is some question whether or not Holland even throws this weekend. His velocity had dipped for the past couple of weeks. Dylan Carter's out for the season. Right now what this team needs, James, is they need their best pitcher to be their best pitcher and to be a good starting pitcher. And it starts tonight with Hagen Smith. I think it's incredibly important for Hagen to start going 7 innings a game.
Yeah, I would agree, and especially on the road. From an RPI standpoint, you really need to win at least one. So I think Hagen Smith goes out there. He gives us some length. He gives us a chance to win the game. We can win Friday's game, and then at that point, you're just trying to piece it together well enough to pick up another win Saturday or Sunday. So, yeah, he's definitely going to set the tone, and giving us length with just the amount of injuries that we've had is going to be pretty crucial because I don't think we want to bullpen 3 games, on an away series.
It's important, when we look at the importance of a starting pitcher, that's been lessened in baseball now, in Major League Baseball, even in college baseball. We'll refer to he gave us 5 innings, meaning like, okay, he did what we need. I still have trouble viewing starting pitchers in that light. When you started, what did you want to do as a starting pitcher? Because you started and relieved.
I think as a starting pitcher, you kind of got to know the context of the game. Are you trying to give length and get to the bullpen? Are you trying to bridge the gap? What role are you trying to fill? For me, it was about how do I settle in? How do I throw strikes? How do I attack hitters? And then mix as the game goes along to where they don't need to go to a bullpen guy, because when I'm in the 4th and 5th inning, I'm just now starting to throw new sequences, new mixes. Maybe I started this guy with a fastball in the 1st and 3rd inning, but now I can throw a couple breaking balls. So really, for a starting pitcher, you can establish a fastball early, keep the pitch count down. That gives you the opportunity to throw later into the game because those hitters are now seeing different versions of you than they saw earlier.
So you use that in the context of the game, and I know with football you have game plans week by week, team by team. Kind of elaborate on that a little bit. How does that go on? When do you find out, or when do you know? Does the pitching coach tell you? When do you kind of know? All right, this is kind of my game plan I'm going in this week.
I think it's a little bit of feel. You look at our bullpen. If you have a really strong bullpen with a lot of depth and a lot of guys who are performing, maybe you don't need that length. But you look at us right now, we've got some guys who are, partially proven. We've got a lot of injuries. So I think any starting pitcher in our circumstance right now is going to need to provide length because it's going to be difficult, like I said, for a bullpen to string together 3 games. McIntyre, he may be able to give us some length on Saturday or whenever he throws, but when your bullpen is limited, the starter always needs to give length. And I think that they know that, just based on how the season has played out.
So I mean, you're not in a place with Hagen that he's been able to throw 120 pitches, 110 pitches, and you probably don't want him to get to that level. And Hagen has his stuff is so good. It's so good. And people will ask the question, so how do you focus on getting quicker outs? Because the opponent is coming up here willing to take. The Mississippi State batters are coming up very perfectly happy to take the first couple of pitches and work deep in the count, knowing that they might be able to get Hagen out of the game at the end of 5 or 6 innings. So when you're a pitcher and in your mind, I got to try to find a way to get quick outs. Is there a trick to it? Because so much of it is the approach of the hitter.
I think the trick is establishing the fastball and being able to command the fastball. Because if you're able to do that and get ahead of hitters quickly, at that point you kind of force their hand. Now they're saying, okay, we came up here to take, but this guy's in the zone. We can't just sit here and take all day because then we're not going to score any runs. So I think it kind of plays off each other. That if the pitcher knows that the team wants to get him out of the game and build his pitch count, mentally he's got to know, I need to come in and attack. I need to throw strikes. I need to work ahead because I'm going to force their hand. And then once they get in swing mode, now I can start mixing it up, throwing breaking balls, getting them off balance. And that gives me the opportunity not only to force their hand to swing, but also to go deep into the game.
Throw strikes would be the answer, right?
Yeah, that's the easy answer.
But it's the easy answer, but it's also the easy thing for all of us to sit back when we're not doing them. We don't know what it's like to be able to throw 95 miles an hour and try to command it to to within 1/10 of an inch of where you wanted to try to throw it. It's obviously just not that easy for Hagen Smith. Otherwise, he would probably be doing it. But there is the thought that he tries to strike everybody out. And maybe that's a little bit of a difficult thing to dial down sometimes.
Yeah, Phil, that that is true. There were days where I said I can throw this ball kind of where I want, inside, outside. There were days where I thought I have literally no idea where this ball is going, and I got to do my best and figure it out, kind of on as I go. And those days vary. Some days you're going to have more feel than others. It's kind of like any other sport. Go to the golf course. It's like some days you feel good, some days you hit a lot of shanks. It's like, some guys are more consistent than others. But I think for him, he's got to find a way to dial it in, whether it's in his routine or in his mechanics or some way to say, I need to be a strike thrower today. I need to give my team length. And that's going to be our recipe for success with the limitations of our bullpen.
Yeah, I just wonder sometimes about what it feels like when you, like for a basketball player who is standing at the foul line and knows, hey, that's 15 feet away right there, and I practice this all the time. But there's got to be moments where it feels like it's 50 feet away, that no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to get it in there. And for 60 feet, 6 inches, there must be moments where it feels like it's 10 inches away and you can absolutely throw where you want to go. And then other moments where it's like, all right, I guess it feels like I'm trying to throw a strike from center field.
Yeah, I would definitely second that. It is kind of day to day, but that's why the experience is so important, because when you have that feeling, what is your go-to? How do you dial it in from that point on to say, I don't have the feel, I'm kind of jacked up, I'm kind of anxious. What are my cues to get me back online and back to competing and throwing strikes? And each guy, it's going to be different.
All right, James, what are you? What aspect of the law would you like to bring up today, since that is what you are a professional in these days?
Phil, I had a pretty contentious hearing this morning. It was a custody hearing. For us, we're pretty family law heavy, and I think just when you're dealing with matters of custody, I was thinking about it on my drive. Actually, it's kind of like being a doctor in some ways, because you have to show up every day to someone's most important day. For a lot of attorneys, it's it's another day at the office. But when you're going in there and fighting for somebody's kids, that's going to be one of the most important days of their life, because it's going to set the stage going forward. So I think for me, the experience that I've built and the experience of the Teague Law Firm with Robert, I think custody matters. Everyone loves their kids. Your kids are your most important thing to you. And so I think, the experience that we bring in custody and just the ability to show up and say, this day is important to you, and I'm going to make it equally as important to me to make sure that we get your desired outcome, I think is something that we bring to the table just from experience and just from the know-how of how to navigate the law when it comes to children.
Well, James, I know we've talked quite a bit about family law matters, and it's obviously something that really kind of hits at people emotionally, and it's got to be difficult to deal with. But hey, it's the kind of thing that is very important in today's society. Appreciate you bringing that up, and for talking pitching with us as always, James. Appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, James.
It's James Teague with his father Robert at the Teague Law Firm. You need help with criminal law matters, estate needs, anything dealing with family law. Teague Law Firm is a full-service law firm. You'll talk to the real lawyers, and if you just got to leave a message, they'll call you right back. 479-877-1688. Also online at teague-law.com.
BetOnline.ag is your #1 source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest player reports for this year's pro basketball playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. Basketball, MLB, NHL hockey, right down to UFC and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games you can play right from your home. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.